because he has the third Kazekage puppet, which maintained its life force and chakra. The third Kazekage has 4 different statements, 2 in the manga, 2 in the data book, of being the strongest Kazekage, which
Yeah,
would
we can get
scale
into those. First, I want to start with Sasori to him, then we can get to like the third Kazekage to everybody else.
Yeah, he
So
just
let's
has the
start.
third Kazekage puppet, so yeah.
Okay, could you go ahead and send the Sasori statement?
Which one?
The one you're using to get him to the third Kazekage.
Yeah, he uses the third Kazekage puppet, sure.
You guys have scans and calcs in here.
If you want to post it, there's a place called Scan Dumpster, so we can use that, or we can use like fictional debate, wherever that's up. But yeah,
We could just do scan dumpster.
Okay, cool. This one works. It's from the data book. So it talks about how he defeated the third Kazekage, then turned his puppet into a body, and then it says below that the third Kazekage can still wield his own iron sand, which was his specialty when alive.
And are you using this to scale Sasori above or like to him?
I'm using the puppet itself to scale above Raza and Gaara.
I'll attack the puppet momentarily. I want to attack Sasori scaling first.
Yeah, Sasori has the puppet, right? And then the puppet is what I'm using to scale above.
Oh, okay. You're
Gaara
scaling the puppet. Okay.
No.
All right. I guess I'll just attack this first, the Sasori bit. So you're like, well, you're not really using him to scale here, so yeah, I'll just go with the puppet first then.
Okay. So what do you have any issue with that?
You said the puppet retained its life force and chakra, right?
Yeah, it's stated to.
Why?
It's just directly stated to.
Could you send that? Or is it in here?
I can grab it. Does anyone have it on hand? That way I don't have to go grab it? Or no. I guess I'll have to go find it. It's fine.
So I just want to be clear, you're not necessarily scaling Sasori here, you're scaling the puppet.
Yeah, I'm scaling his puppet first. I'll get to like Sasori scaling here in a minute, but I just want to establish this will be one of my win conditions. So. Are you cool with Viz translations? I should have probably clarified that.
Yeah, I'm fine with Viz.
Okay, cool. $272.
Oh, and I forgot to ask, are you like, is this like a specified scaling you're doing? Or are you scaling like speed here or AP?
I'm going to be scaling AP first for the puppet.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
I can get the speed of his puppets later, but right now. This fight is a lot longer than I thought.
So what are we waiting for now?
Hey, we're having a debate. Go ahead and mute. Right now, I'm looking for a scan.
Holy shit, Noodles, do you need help?
I already asked a minute ago if you had the scan, so I mean,
Well, I don't have it on hand, but I'd probably find it faster than your ass.
yeah, I'm reading the fight right now, so if you have it, then
I don't.
I found it.
I think you did 2 scans, Noodles.
Yeah, I found those. Well, go ahead and look in scan dumpster.
Okay.
This one.
Where am I looking?
As I figured, that puppet can use the third Kazekage's own jutsu. If you
Okay.
recall, this is what made him the most powerful of all. And then
Yeah,
there's
we can get to how that scales to the other Kazekage in a second.
well, that's what I'm referring to. That's the point I'm making right
I
now.
thought we were on the
So,
point of like the life force and
well, no,
chakra.
what I'm scaling is the Kazekage puppet's AP above the other Kage, and it specifically says it's the Iron
Okay.
Sand.
Okay, you're rephrasing. All right.
Yeah, either way, that's the point I was trying to make.
Okay.
So, yeah, his Iron Sand scales above the other Kazekage, which would include Gaara and Raza at the time, correct?
I think it just means like his sand technique is better than their sand techniques.
No, it specifically attributes power, so it's just more powerful
Why is it attributing specifically power?
because it's stated to attribute power.
Yeah, well, I don't think that really contradicts what I said. I said like even if that's the case, that just means he has a more powerful
Not what you
technique
said.
than them. Are you like
No,
scaling the technique?
you tried to say that's not what you said. What you tried to say was that it's better, which can have a different connotation the more powerful. Right now, we're trying to scale attack potency of the puppets.
Better and
Stand.
more powerful
So
can have the same definition.
it can, but what you do when you try to insert that kind of word instead of the word powerful, you're inserting different connotations that potentially can mean different things, right? Like better is a super ambiguous and vague word. Like better in what aspect, right? Powerful is a very specific word, on the other hand, and generally refers to strength, right?
I can agree with his technique, like that, his iron sand being more powerful than like the gold dust or Gaara's sand.
Okay,
but
cool.
like
that's what I wanted to talk about.
So, are you just scaling his technique, or are you scaling him to this technique?
So I'm not scaling Sasori to the technique. He can use the technique, so obviously he has all the scaling with it. So the Iron Sand is more powerful than Gaara's sand, which can withstand the C3 of Datara's bombs. Datara's bombs, like just as normal casual bombs, are able to one shot the Three Tails Biju, and this C3 is stated to be.
Hold on. Since you just made a claim, would you be able to show me that the bomb that Gaara tanked was the same one that Datara used on the Three Tails?
No, it was weaker. The bomb he used on the Three Tails was weaker because the C3
Would you be able to show me that?
Yeah, the C3 at the time was stated to be the most powerful technique that Datara had, obviously besides the C0, but the C3 was his strongest bomb. It's just most powerful. So based upon that would scale above. What'd you say?
I just don't remember which one he used. That's why I asked if you could show me.
Okay, sure. do you want the scan of him using the C3 or the C3 being stated to be powerful? Because I think you
wanna-
probably remember the C. That's the one he was.
You can just like send the scans of him using it on Gara and him using it on the Three Tails. I just want to know that it's.
Well,
the
now
same.
it isn't the same bomb, but we know it
Okay.
scales above the bomb that he used against the Three Tails because this is stated to be his most powerful.
Oh, the C3 you think is his most powerful bomb?
It's stated to be, yeah.
Wouldn't that necessarily just be contradicted by his C0 being stronger than that?
Yes, it would, but at the time, this was his strongest.
So
So
you're in agreement that it would be?
I think the C0 is his overall strongest jutsu, but it's not something he just like normally performs. The C3 is the strongest of his standard bombs. So, it's directly stated to be. So obviously, he can show a more powerful technique later in the series, but at the time, this was his strongest bomb. So.
Okay, and you said that puts it over the Three Tails.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask where you were going with that before I continue.
The Three Tails scales to the other Biju, and the Three Tails is
Which
multi-continental. Just the other Biju in general. All the Biju
Which
are
ones?
relative to each other. Besides maybe the Nine
Why are
Tails.
they all relative?
So we've seen that Hagoromo split them up into 9 pieces, and the villages, the narrative surrounding the Biju, was that they gave them to each of the villages to try and even out power that was distributed. So based upon power distribution being equal among the other villages, that would imply that the Biju are relative to each other. And this is confirmed when we see in the war arc when the Jinchuriki are fighting the Eight Tails, that they're able to fight each other and harm each other, which again would suggest relativity. And the Three Tails in particular was also able to withstand some of Data's bombs, even though it did get one shot by the like multiple scattered bombs. But yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree with that. I think Kurama's just been straight up stated the strongest.
Yeah, I said besides
stronger than the
Kurama, right?
others. Okay, you said
it's not-
besides Kurama. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Even then, though, right? Like the reason Kurama is more powerful than the other Biju was it was stated because his hatred festered within himself, and it grew, and he became like this massive Biju. He was like way bigger than all the other Biju. Became like the size of a mountain. And he's way more powerful than all of them.
Kurama's not central. We can just move to the. You said you're using the feats from the war arc to scale the Biju to each other.
I used the narrative argument to establish the
Okay.
Biju as relative, and then I used the feats from the war arc where the Biju are fighting each other to show relativity.
Okay, and your narrative argument was that since they're used for power distribution, or since like the idea was to balance power with the Biju, that they should all be relative.
Yeah, exactly right. Or because if they're not relative, then they're not going to be able to balance out power.
Yeah, I disagree with that notion. I don't think they need to be able to balance out power. Like, for one, that requires like Hashirama having like some innate knowledge that all these Biju scale to each other. And
Well,
like, I
he
don't
would
see a
have that
reason for
knowledge because
to be
he
the case.
does state that like he split them up to evenly distribute power.
Yeah,
that way.
he can split them up to distribute power. I don't see why the
Yeah.
Biju have to
What
scale
you're
each
doing
other.
right now is you're saying that like you're disputing the knowledge Hashirama has, but the issue is we don't know.
That's
what
one
knowledge he
thing I'm
has.
disputing. I'm also disputing the notion.
Let's talk
like,
about that then first, and then we can get to your other notions. So the
Okay,
disputation with surrounding Hashirama's knowledge is based on nothing. We have no reason to suggest that he's misinformed or lying. We know he's fought the Biju and he's also kept them as pets, which would suggest he's able to understand their power. So it's definitely likely that he
to what
understands the
extent
power
did
of the
he
Biju.
fight them?
I mean, he just kept them as pets, and he literally just fought the Nine
Well,
Tails.
I think pets was a bit of like a sarcastic term. I don't think it literally meant pets. I think
Yeah, I mean,
kept control of them.
it means that he had to at one point have controlled their power, right?
Yeah,
So
that can just mean he has them like binded up in like a deep forest immersion.
do you think Hashirama's like an idiot by chance?
I don't know.
Well, I'm
I
asking
don't
you,
know
do
how
you think he does?
intelligent he is or isn't.
Okay, well, either way, I was just curious, but Hashirama being able to fight them, and it being stated that he's capable of holding them
Yeah, I
down and like
agree.
suppressing their
Hashirama's
power.
above them. I'm fine with that, but like,
Yeah,
so you're saying he should have. You're saying he can have like this innate knowledge from his
it's not
fights with
innate.
them?
It is knowledge, but it's not innate. But yeah, he can gain knowledge of how power. Like, by your argument right now that you'd be making, anyone who states someone is powerful and isn't directly shown to have like the ability to like gauge power, which Hashirama is, he gauges Madara's power later in the series as well.
Well,
And
Hashirama's not saying all these Biju are equal. He's just saying I'm going to give some to different villages as part of peace agreements.
okay, yeah, but the reason he's giving them to other villages is to evenly distribute power. Otherwise, one village would be way more powerful than the rest, right? And that's the issue. So that if these Biju just weren't relative to each other, and like the 8 tails and the 9 tails, who have the best feats in the series, are just like stronger than the rest of them, right? Then the Cloud and the Leaf village would be the most powerful villages, and the Leaf is only the most powerful because it has the 9 tails. That's the reason it's the most powerful.
Why is that? Hold on, you made a couple different claims that I would like to address.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start with the whole. You had said like you think that if the Biju are not balanced, then like the villages will be massively stronger than one another.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think like the strength of a village is only based upon which Biju it has?
Majorly, it's one of the biggest reasons like Biju exist is to like offer like a counter threat to other villages that are threatening invasion.
Well, that's
right?
not
like,
their reason for existence.
Yeah, it is. Like that's the reason.
Hagoromo split the 10 tails for that reason.
The Hagoromo split the 10 tails that way because it was too powerful. He didn't split it.
Yeah, that was their reason to be brought into existence.
It wasn't. I'm not talking about Hagoromo right now. I'm talking about the reason the Biju are like split between these other nations.
Okay.
Answer this question first. Answer this question first. If the Biju aren't relative to each other, right, and one is stronger than the rest, then you wouldn't be able to evenly distribute power amongst other villages, right?
But you already agreed one is stronger than the rest.
The 9 tails, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about inconsistent with the other 8 Biju. So if one of those Biju was stronger than the rest, then how? And also, I think the 9 tails are stronger, but I don't think he's so superbly stronger that he would be able to like just not like I think he is still relative to them. I just think he is just more powerful than them. And the only reason he's more powerful is because he let his hate fester. But yeah.
You know that half the Kurama was half the Kurama.
You mean the KCM2? You mean the KCM2 avatar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not just half a Kurama, is it? Perfect Jinchuriki are directly stated to be stronger than Biju, and that means Naruto. We don't know how much, but he's vaguely strong. We don't know how much. I don't need to quantify how much. He can be
stronger in relative.
Yeah, but you'd have to prove that he's stronger in relative.
Why?
Because if you're making a positive claim that he's relative.
I didn't make a positive claim. I said he can be.
Yeah, okay. Well, him can be. He might not be as well, so that's irrelevant. Like, I can just, again, like, if you don't back that claim up, then I can just dismiss it without evidence as well, right? So it doesn't change anything.
I didn't make a claim, though.
I know you're not. What you're doing is you're trying to, like, get me to, like, fall into this trap where you're saying that, oh, I didn't make an actual claim. I was just asking if he could be. But if you're not making a claim, then there's no point of even talking about this in the first place. Because right now you're trying to refute my position. If you don't, I understand you take. I know you are. But if you don't make a claim, then you can't dispute my position, which is exactly what you're trying to do right now. So I suggest stop playing these like fucking word games with me and trying to like trap me because you're not going to do it. Because you're trying to get me to fall into like a rhetorical trap, but it's really obvious.
The KCM2 avatar and how it compares to the Yang half of Kurama. You said on the basis of the statement that it's like stronger, that it should be above. I asked you by how much. You never told me.
Yeah, I don't have to tell you. The issue right now is that we don't know how much stronger he is, so we don't know if he scales to the normal full Kurama. We have no idea if he does. So trying to scale that, trying to say that like, oh, well, he blew away the other BG's BG bombs. He did. Yeah, he did do that. But the issue is that was with an ant, right? We don't know how strong that Kurama is in comparison to the original Kurama, which is the one Hashirama fought. Right?
Well, you brought up the KCM2 avatar being stronger as a defeater to my original argument. So, like, you would have to be the one who quantifies the defeater.
No, I just got around the quantification aspect because I told you the argument that we have for Kurama, it's not the same Kurama. So we don't know if it scales.
Well,
you're necessarily claiming that this Kurama is stronger, or this Kurama still scales to the previous Kurama. You have to make that claim, or else you can't refute me. That's the issue we're having. If you don't make that claim, then you would be completely unable to refute my position because that is the negation.
Okay, we can just drop that point and go
Okay,
back to the whole
sure.
Hashirama and distribution of the Biju.
Okay,
For
so
one-
would you agree with me then that for Hashirama to say that these Biju need to be evenly distributed, that way
Wait,
no
when did he
village.
say they need to be evenly distributed?
Well, he just said distributed. He didn't say evenly, but
Okay, so that just means he's just distributing them.
yeah, but he did it for the specific purpose of equalizing power amongst the villages. So
Could you
Huh?
show me that? Because I think that can be one reason, but I think another reason was just as a representation of like peace agreements between other villages.
Sure, I can go find it.
So I don't think these Biju necessarily have to balance out power. I think they were
No,
just
that is the reason he attributed it though. Like just because he's like it is a peace offering as well, right? Like the reason it's a peace offering is that way people understand that he's not just trying to go to war with them and he's trying to equalize out power. That's because if one nation has the Biju, right?
Why does not going to war just mean equalizing power?
Huh?
It could just be.
I never claimed that. It's a straw man of my position. That's not what I said.
You just said it.
No, what I said is that the reason it's a peace offering is that he is offering these other Biju to equalize out power. That way people don't go to war with each other. That's what I said. I didn't say that it has to just be the same. Like a peace offering has to be not going to war. That's a complete and horrific misrepresentation of what I'm saying.
Okay, could you repeat that again? Just so I'm clear.
So what I said is that the reason Hashirama, the reason this is a peace offering, this specific scenario is a peace offering, is because the other Biju are powerful, and he's giving them to each of the nations to equalize out power amongst them. That way, they don't go to war with each other.
Still looking
that's
for that
why it's a peace offering. Yeah, before we get into the proof, like, would you agree with me, right? If he's talking about power, right, and he's talking about distributing power.
I don't know what he's talking about. I can't see the statement.
Well, before that, we can just play with me hypothetically.
I don't want to answer a question about a statement I don't have in front of me.
Okay, bro. I forgot to play that. Fine.
Do you mind if I just type out your scaling so we have it in front of us?
You do whatever you want, bro.
Okay. So you said third Kazakage puppet or Iron Sand.
Yeah. Here's the statement.
Iron Sand, Gold Dust, and Gara Sand. I'll get into that in a second. I'm typing out your scaling so I have it in front of me.
Okay, well, you can type that out while I make my argument. I'm not going to wait for you.
I just prefer.
I'm not going to wait for you. So if you want to type out the argument, that's fine. But I'm not going to wait for you because I'm already getting irritated at how much of my time you're wasting.
Listen, I'm simply trying.
You can type in chat, but I'm going to continue debating. So I don't care what you do, but that's your own time.
We can continue, but I'd like you to give me a second while I type out your scaling. As I sat here patiently and waited for you just 10 seconds ago.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit with you.
I'm not bullshitting with you.
Yes, you are.
I'm trying to type out your scaling.
Why do you need to type it out? Do you lack the fucking mental cognition to think about my argument in your head?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and try and memorize.
Okay, bro.
Retarded different steps. So why don't you stop?
Go ahead.
Let me type this out.
You can type it out. You can type it out.
Back up your ass.
You can type it out, but I'm going to continue arguing. So
yeah, I don't know.
It says Hashirama split up. It says Hashirama split the Biju up against the 5 great countries when he began peace talks with them to balance out the power. Now, in context of this, he's specifically talking about the 5 great countries, and he's splitting them amongst them to balance out power between the 5 great nations.
Yeah, I have a question about that. So, why does it have to be a perfect balance?
I'm not saying it's a perfect balance, but in order for there to be a balance, they have to. Hold on. Before we go there, it's not arguing a perfect balance, but I am arguing it is a balance. And in order for it to be a balance, they have to be relative to each other. Because if they're not able to harm each other, then it wouldn't be a balance at all, right? Like if one Biju could just tank all of the shots of the rest of the Biju, then he would just shit on them, right? Like there's no guarantee.
Why?
It have to be relative.
Biju has a hack that disintegrates him. Or
So
like
if
distance or
that's the
AC
case,
strength.
none of the Biju have abilities that do that.
Well, I
So.
don't think there's. I don't unless you'd argue.
In fact, their main method of attacking,
everything.
it specifically attributes power as well, not hacks. Like he's referring to
Well,
the
why can't
strength
power
of the
refer
Biju,
Let me see what it says.
because power doesn't refer to abilities.
Yeah, why can't
it
power
refers
be
to
referring
strength.
to abilities?
Because power most generally refers to strength.
Can you show me that?
Yeah.
Because you're like aware power is also used in Naruto to refer to different abilities, right?
No, it's
like,
not. It's
with
used to refer to strength. When they're referring to hacks, yeah. So here's
like when they're talking about
here's the two most common definitions of strength, and here's the two most common definitions of power.
Why are they the most common?
Because it's on Oxford and they have it listed at 1 and 2, which means it is
I
the
thought you
most
meant
common.
in the series. Never mind.
Oh, I posted in the wrong chat. My bad.
Shit.
All right, I'm just gonna type
Who's
this.
this
out.
Oxford
No.
nigga? Why should we even believe him? Come on, Noodles.
Yeah, my bad. So, would you agree that like this is in reference to the strength of a state? Like they're referring to countries, right? And they're trying to balance out power amongst the countries.
Wait, you think this statement is in reference to power of the country, is not power of the Biju now?
So it's both, right? Because what it's referring to is the Biju's power. And in order to balance out the Biju's power amongst the countries, they have to split them into each country. So obviously the Biju's power is going to.
I'm not sure about that because I don't see like a reference to the Biju's power here.
I mean, if you look in the right panel, it says monsters made of chakra. Shodai had a number of them under his control. Hashirama split them up amongst the 5 great countries, which he began peace talks with them to balance out power.
So you think like
they're referring to military strength because he's talking about peace and war.
Let me ask you a question about that. So like you think like under this like proposition from Hashirama where he hands out these Biju, like if we have 2 villages with like that have been given Biju by Hashirama, that they should just like cancel out if we're only
they would be balanced out, not canceled out, but balanced out.
So you realize there are some villages that have 1 Biju and others that have 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so like if you think that 1 Biju can consistently take on 2 at the same time, all 3 are relative.
So which villages have 1? Because the ones that have 1 is like the 9 tails. Which one? The 7 tails. Okay.
Yes.
What about the other? Which other countries have it? Is it just the? I think it's just the leaf in the waterfall, right? There's no others.
6, 7, 1. The sand that has the 1 tail, but that wasn't from Hashirama.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if we're just talking about the sand, for one, we're scaling. I can also scale them above Shikaku later, but yeah. So we can say those Biju are stronger than the rest, but that would
not all of them.
But that would still include the 8. That would still include the cloud with the 8 tails, who has a multi-continental feat, and the other Biju have multi-continental feats too. So yeah, it doesn't change the scaling.
Chome can be above the other Biju, but like your basis to like scale Isubu to all these others was that they're all relative, and like you just agreed with me that there can be Biju who are above the others, like the 7.
Okay, so what I did was I don't even agree with that proposition, but I'm going to steelman you and agree with it and say sure there are certain Biju that are stronger than the rest, right? But those certain Bijus are the only ones who are able to are the only ones who are stronger than the rest. The others have no scaling to put them there, right? So that means that if any of the other Biju, hold on, let me finish my point. Hold on. If any of the other villages have a Biju who has a multi-continental feat, so specifically the villages with 2 Biju, if either of their Biju have a feat that's multi-continental, then Asobu would still scale to it, correct?
No, I think we need to address some earlier things you said.
Okay, well, agree hypothetically.
Yeah, in this point.
All right. Then we're good. Then we don't need to go past that. I think I got that one. So we're good to go on that. So now
I literally said I'm about to answer you. I don't know why you're like trying to.
No, you just agreed with me. But yeah, like
I didn't agree with you.
What did you just do then?
I said I'm not gonna go back. I said
You said, yeah, okay. I asked you if
points.
hypothetically you would agree with me. And you went, yeah, but I want to go back to some earlier points. So what was the yeah about?
I didn't hear you say that.
Well, it's because you interrupted me midway.
Yeah, because I'm trying to tell you.
Okay,
like,
so what's your
earlier
disputation to
points.
that argument then?
Hmm?
What's your disputation to that argument then?
Okay, you're saying since like you're just gonna steel man Chome being above the others.
Sure.
But even in that case, you think that like if you think Isobu should still scale to the Eight Tails, who has a multi-continental feat.
Yeah, because there's two Biju in that village, right? The cloud.
Okay, and you're just trying to scale the Three Tails to the Eight Tails here.
Yeah, that'll be
Okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot more specific. So okay, and you think that the Eight Tails and Isobu are relative on the basis of like this balancing power statement?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we were in the middle of that. We were.
Do you have any
about...
do you have any issues with that so we can move on?
Yeah,
I think that's pretty clear cut, right?
Okay, when we said balancing out the power, you think this is like specifically the power of the Biju or like mutually exclusive? The power of the Biju?
So what he's talking about, they're talking about the Biju. He says monsters made of chakra.
Well,
so,
whose power is he trying to balance by distributing these Biju?
the strength of the countries and the Biju, right? So what he's doing is he's splitting these
The
Biju.
strength of the countries, right?
Yeah, to balance out the strength of the countries, right? Because if one country has a Biju, and the other, hold on. The reason he's saying this is because if one country has a Biju, right, and another country doesn't, what he's saying is that the country with the Biju is going to have an unbalanced level of power, right?
Why?
So he needs another Biju.
Shinobi that scale above Biju. This gets into
there are Shinobi above Biju.
This directly relates to
hold on. Before we move on, let me finish.
We're not moving on. This is central to this point.
No, you are moving on. You're trying to skip past my point here, so I want to finish.
This question is
okay, well then if you're not skipping past it, then let me finish, and then you can ask your question. So I want to finish my statement first, and then I understand you have a question, but have you ever heard the saying, "Wait, hold your questions till the end"? Hold your question till the end, buddy. So.
Okay,
if we have a Biju, right, what he's saying is if one country has a Biju and another country doesn't, if the country with the Biju is going to be unbalanced in power in reference to the other country. So what he's doing is he's giving the other country a Biju to balance out that power, right? So that's how it's working. That's why it's a peace offering, is because now countries won't want to fight each other because they all have Biju. And then you just brought up the counter argument that there are Biju. There are people who are stronger than Biju. Well, at the time, there weren't that many, right?
I have a
the
question.
third Raikage only was able to stalemate the Eight Tails.
To ask my question before you attack them.
Well, no. The issue is you made an argument. Hold on. The issue is you made an argument and a proposition, and if I don't address it now, it could get caught up later, and I just might not ever talk about it again. So I want to address it now. Well, hold on. Okay, I don't trust that. Okay, the reason I brought it up was because if I didn't, you could have did that, right? Like I didn't. I had no knowledge. Hold on. Stop spurging. Stop, Draco. Stop spurging. What I was doing was I had no idea if you were going to bring it up in your question, right? I have no idea. I have no knowledge. I can't read your mind. Hold on. Draco, stop spurging. Chill out, bro. Jesus Christ. So I had no idea if you were going to bring that up in your question. So I had to bring it up, right? And if I didn't, then it could get lost later. So I had to bring it up.
What I'd like to address.
I understand that, and I know that now. So I'm going to let you ask your question now. Okay. But previously, it was fine for me to do that because I had no idea if you were going to. Okay? Does that make sense? Is that reasonable?
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so like you're aware that like there are Shinobi that like scale above Biju. So would you like agree that like there can be things outside of Biju that like contribute to this balance of power? Like the strength of Shinobi?
There could be, but for the most part, there weren't too many Shinobi that were stronger than Biju. And the reason we can say this is right, like the third Raikage was able to stalemate the Eight Tails, so he's on the level of a Biju. We know that. Hiruzen is probably stronger than the Biju, but he's kind of relative to them. We don't really know.
Above Kurama in speed.
In speed, yeah, but he also is like relative.
Madara was casually above the Biju.
Madara wasn't
casually.
Madara wasn't a thing during this time.
Aren't the Akatsuki like stated to be able to defeat the Jinchuriki?
The second generation Akatsuki is stated to, not the first.
Okay, what's the difference?
So the second generation Akatsuki is like completely different members. So
Why? How many different members?
I mean, like all the members we see on screen during like Shippuden in part 1 are not the same members that were alive in the first generation.
Why?
Is that a why question? Like they just
Yeah,
aren't.
you just
Like,
made a claim. You said they're different.
do you want me to
people.
prove different members?
Yeah, I want you to prove they're different people.
Sure, I can show you that. This is such a... Okay.
This is cutting into my mind.
Yeah, prove Sasuke wasn't alive during the time of the first Hokage.
I know, I can't believe this is an argument. I guess you're gonna... Okay.
All about the waking a great chore.
Alright, so here's...
When you say first generation Akatsuki, you're talking about the silhouettes at the end of part 1, right?
No.
Oh, you're talking about Yahuko's Akatsuki?
Yeah, that's first generation.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the guys at the end of part 1.
No.
Okay, I misunderstood you.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
yeah,
there
I'm
are
fine
some
with
different
the
members,
second
but
generation I'm fine with just the second generation Akatsuki.
yeah, so the second generation of
Not
Katsuki
the
wasn't
first.
around during Hashirama's time is the issue. So except Kakazu, but he wasn't in the Akatsuki then. Kakazu is the only member that was around during that time.
You're aware that there were other shinobi around at that time who were capable of controlling Biju, like the first Kage, correct?
He was able to control the Shikaku.
Well, by control, I mean he was able to capture and like maintain like possession of him.
I don't actually remember that, but could you show me that?
Yeah, I could get you that. It's at the. Does anyone know what chapter the Peace Summit is? Because he talks about it there.
So you think like the first Kazekage like scales to the Biju or whatever?
No, I think him or someone in the village would need to capture Shikaku.
Him versus someone in the village? What?
No, I think him or another villager would need to scale to Shikaku in order to capture him in the first place.
Yeah, so he scales to Shikaku probably because the Kazekage is considered to be the strongest.
Yeah,
in the village.
if you just want to agree, then with that, he could have been the one to do it. I'm fine with that. But either way,
the position I don't actually know. So could you just show me first?
Yeah, I
and then
can get you those scans. Does anyone know what chapter the Peace Summit is?
Perhaps.
What is the Peace Summit?
You know where Hashirama meets with all the other Kage and discusses the Biju, and like the Kazekage says he already got one.
Oh yeah, that's somewhere during the like Jubito fight.
I thought it was during Obito's like discussion with Sasuke.
No, it's during the Jubito fight because
it's one of Madara's flash.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I know where it's at. It's chapter 648.
Okay, I'll go get it.
Yeah, I don't even remember that statement at all. I don't know why I don't. But the statement I remember, the statement I remembered was just Hashirama gave the Saiyan like Shikaku. That was the only thing I remembered about it.
No, I don't think they did give him to Shikaku.
Oh, okay. I might have just been misinformed then.
No, it's
okay.
like that.
I have the statement.
Okay, cool.
He just says, "Yeah, we have the one tails already." Here. And he says, like, he also says, like, in our village, a certain temple's disciples have long been sealing Biju away.
So we're saying that the first Kazekage is sealing scales to Shikaku then?
I don't know. Could be his activation speed. I think his activation speed inherently would have to as well.
His activation speed?
Yeah, the speed at which he activates his sealing.
So you don't think there could be a situation where he, like, plans a trap to seal the Shikaku then?
Could you, like, give me an example of that?
So let's say, like, we've seen, like, people can set, like, areas to seal before. I'm not saying that he has that seal, but potentially he's able to set an area for Shikaku to walk into, like they lure him into that area and then he becomes sealed by him, right?
Even in that case, he would need to still activate the seals, like before Shikaku can react.
No, the sealing jutsu I'm referring to is like already activated. Like the only activation required is them to be in the area, right? And it also is like it's also like a thing like
that?
they could have potentially lured him prior to combat,
I'm
so he's
asking,
not.
is there an example of a sealing like that?
Yeah, there is. I don't remember its name.
Can you
but-
show me which one it is? Because
Yeah,
I just genuinely
this is kind of just like a supplementary point. I won't even like try and dispute it. It's whatever because I don't feel like looking for.
Okay, the essence of what I'm saying here is like we just have other examples even in this era of other shinobi scaling to Biju.
So the scaling to Biju, obviously there would still have to be some kind of relativity here. So Shikaku is a village with only one Biju, right? So the first Kazekage could be like the other Biju, right? And then that
You're aware what he says about this, right? He says we already have one, we don't need another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that doesn't change what I said. Like
that doesn't have to. I'm elaborating. That doesn't have to mean like, okay, we're balanced now, we're all relative. It can just mean, okay, Shikaku will just smack the rest of these Biju.
So yeah, it could be one of those two, right? But the issue is like you're not like in order for my scaling to be contradicted, you have to like prove that it's your interpretation, right, and not my interpretation.
Okay,
what I'm doing is I'm offering you another interpretation that would then. Oh, hold on. What I'm doing is I'm offering you another interpretation that would allow my scaling to remain consistent in the arguments I've put forth. And so, in order for you to debunk that scaling, you're going to actually have to prove it's your interpretation.
I'm offering to prove that that's the case for you.
Okay, go ahead then.
But you already agreed like Madara is above the other Biju, right?
He scales to them.
Okay. You're aware like Shikaku's capable of damaging him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think like Shikaku's AP would then just scale above his durability.
So you think like Shikaku scales above Madara?
I think he can, yeah.
Okay. So if that's the case, we know that Gaara and Raza are also capable of like sealing Shikaku, and the third Kazekage is stated to be more powerful than both of them. So by that logic, then we're just scaling like the Kazekage above Madara. So I mean, I don't think that helps you, but if you really want to go down that path,
I'm getting to this. I think this is a different Shikaku. I think like the one in the War Arc is stronger.
I don't. I think he's weakened. Would
you like me to explain?
Sure.
Okay, so you're aware like how the Ten Tails chakra cultivates?
No.
All right. Does anyone have that statement from Obito? Like, it doesn't matter if you only seal like parts of the beast inside the get.
Hold on, Draco. Before we go into this, before we go into that argument, the argument you're using right now is that the Shikaku that the first Kazekage scales to is above Madara. So for you to like claim that he's stronger later in the series would debunk that claim.
I'm saying like.
Yeah, you just contradicted yourself, so you're gonna have to walk back on. You're gonna have to walk back on something.
Hold on, I'm gonna explain so there's no longer like what you believe to be a contradiction. So like, I think like that Shikaku, I think the one that like we've consistently seen after the Kazekage captures him, I think like that one's just weakened from being in Jinchuriki.
Okay, yeah. So the argument you're gonna have to make, right, is that the reason Shikaku is like stronger than these other Biju, and the justification you gave, like you're saying that the first Kazekage said he only needed Shikaku because he was like more powerful than the rest of the Biju, right?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, right, and the justification you used for that was that like Shikaku was able to harm Madara, right? But then you just said that that Shikaku was stronger in the war arc than he was while alive. So if that's the case, then this Shikaku, that justification doesn't prove that this Shikaku is stronger than the other Biju.
I think that's a bit of a straw man. I don't think I said that Shikaku's stronger in the war arc than when he was alive.
Okay,
so do you think always been alive?
Okay, I'm referring to previous to the war arc when this statement happens.
Okay, that's just a weird way of wording that. But
yeah, it was, but either way, you understand what I'm saying now, right?
Okay, what I'm saying here
communication successful.
What I'm saying here is like Shikaku in the war arc and Shikaku like before he was captured and sealed can be stronger due to not being in a Jinchuriki who's taking away their chakra and using it.
Yeah, so that doesn't address what I just said. Like what you're saying is
this
the
would
Shikaku
like fix any inherent contradiction that would arise from Shikaku being stronger in the war arc and stronger when before the Kazekage captures him.
Okay, so you're arguing that the one that the Kazekage captures is okay. Hold on, you're arguing that the one that Kazekage captured is weaker than like after he captures him.
No, no, he's stronger than after he captures him, like when he's sealed inside a Jinchuriki.
You're saying he's stronger after he captures him?
I think he's stronger when he's not in a Jinchuriki. I think that just makes things easier.
Well, what makes you think he's in a Jinchuriki at this point?
They said they're sealing him.
That doesn't mean
So
he's
like
in a
I just
Jinchuriki.
I think like under Occam's razor, it would just be like more likely to assume.
So we know that Shikaku, or that specifically that these Kazekage have sand jutsu where they can seal people inside of things. Like they can seal people in like pyramids and like things like
Which
that,
Kazekage?
right? For Warren Gara is able to.
Yeah,
so
Gara
it
can.
doesn't say that they're specifically sealing him in a Jinchuriki. It just says sealing. So you're just basically claiming that no one, like, yeah, they do have sealing where they can seal
I think
people
it's
inside
more
of them.
likely to be sealed in Jinchuriki than in another possibility.
Well, do we actually know though? I don't think it's more likely. I think you're just arbitrarily claiming that. Like, what actually proves this is more probable? He has sealing for both. He can seal people.
Okay.
We don't even know if he can seal people inside of Jinchuriki. We have no idea if he has that capability. We just know he has some kind of sealing.
Wait, there are different requirements between sealing a Jinchuriki and sealing a tailed beast in a person and sealing them like in an object.
Yeah, of course. That's why there's different kinds of sealing.
What are those different requirements?
Well, for one, like the sealing has to be strong enough to hold a Biju. That's why Minato and Kushina specifically had to use
object?
That's why like Kushina specifically had to use her chain sealing, right? It's not like they could just use like some basic ass sealing and the Biju are just gonna break out of it. Right? Like we saw that with like Kaguya and things like that. So
yeah, that's fine. I'm asking like why is that different like with an object? Like
so you're asking like why like well we don't really know. So
have to be strong enough for them to break out.
So we don't really know whether or not the sealing applies between objects and Jinchuriki. I would assume it would be harder than a Jinchuriki, but I don't know if there's anything that confirms that. Just because like sealing something in another alive being seems like it would be like more surgical than like just sealing it inside of a pot. But like I don't really know. I don't think there's any confirmation on either side of that.
Is there
so
like a
it's just baseless.
I can show you it's like consistent for like the Sand Village to have Jinchuriki. But would you be able to show me?
I already know they have Jinchuriki, but you have to prove that this specific Shikaku was inside of a Jinchuriki.
I can show you why it's more probable because you've already asked me to.
What you're having to prove is like you're trying to scale this first Kazekage to a Shikaku prior to him being or what you're saying is he's scaled after being a Jinchuriki, which doesn't make sense because he's already like in order for him to scale him at all, he would have had to seal him inside of a Jinchuriki in the first place. So it's not like he's weaker from being becoming like a Jinchuriki. Like he's yet to even like experience any of that. So like I don't understand how you're even like claiming Shikaku was weaker.
Well, for that to be the case for the possibility you just introduced, it would have to be sealed in something aside from like a Jinchuriki. But in this case, I think it's just like I can show you an example. I can show you more.
No, that's not the argument I just made. The argument I just made was that like how are you even like claiming Shikaku's weaker now? Because I'm getting off like the possibility argument. I'm shifting over to the argument that you don't actually know if Shikaku is weaker, and it doesn't make sense for him to be weaker because
would you agree
he's
like
yet to be a Jinchuriki.
Would you agree that like a Jinchuriki uses their tailed beast chakra?
Sometimes, yeah.
Would you agree that Gara had?
Gara didn't use his tailed beast chakra. The only time he became a tailed or like used his tailed beast chakra was like during the Konoha Crush arc, which was like basically
well,
like
that's fine. I'm just asking if he ever did.
He has used it, but he doesn't use it. Like here's what I say. Gara doesn't use Shikaku's chakra. Gara doesn't at all. That's directly stated. It's his mother's power that's protecting him, not Shikaku. He doesn't use it.
You agreed that he used it during Konoha Crush.
No, what I meant to say is that he transforms into Shikaku, and Shikaku uses his own power. That's a clarification of like what I was trying to say. He doesn't actually use Shikaku's chakra
you
at
think
all.
when Gara does the partial transformation into Shikaku,
that's just him becoming Shikaku. Yeah, that's just him becoming Shikaku. Like
and what does
we know when we can
entail?
So Well, he's like physically transforming into Shikaku.
Yeah,
right?
what
That's
does that
what it
include?
entails.
That physical transformation.
It just shows that he's becoming Shikaku. Like there's nothing
Like,
else.
would you agree his body is transforming into Shikaku's?
That's what I just said.
Okay, so are you aware that like chakra is like composed of like physical and spiritual energy, and the physical energy component is like derived from the cells in the body?
Well, sure, you can argue that, but there's also the spiritual
Okay, well,
aspect,
I
right?
believe you
So
agreed that like his body is physically.
there's also the spiritual aspect of it, though, right? And that's the issue. Like, sure, he's changing into Shikaku physically, but do we actually know if he's using his chakra? I don't think anything's confirmed. We do know that like his mother uses chakra to protect him, right? So like in that situation when he's getting like angry and he's getting like all amped up and shit, that could just be him using more of his mother's chakra, right? Like we don't actually know if he's using Shikaku's chakra. And it's directly stated during the war arc that it was never Shikaku's chakra, it was his mother's power all along. So that actually contradicts that claim.
He uses sand techniques, not when he transforms.
Huh?
I think that statement's referring to his sand techniques, not when he not when he would.
It just says it doesn't like refer to sand techniques. It just says it in general.
Yeah, could you send that statement? Because I think I think you're misinterpreting it.
I can find it. Hold on. Does anyone have it on? I should probably just ask this like every time we get into a situation where we're looking for a scan. Does anyone have the scan where it states that it was using his mother's power? Or something along those lines. It's during the Gaara and what's his name? Raza fight during the war arc.
I don't have that skin, but I could probably direct you to a chapter.
All right, what chapter?
I think around the area of like 538.
I think it's at the end of Gaara's fight with Rasa.
Yeah, it is.
I think I know the chapter. It's definitely not 538. That's too early, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Try the 540s.
It's 548.
548. That sounds a bit better.
548, yeah, that, not 38.
Yeah. Close.
It's at 548.
Alright, you want me to post it?
Yeah.
I'll post it in the scan dump. I think this is the one he's referring to. What you are referring to.
Powerful. No, that's not it. There's one that is good, but
This isn't it. Is this not it?
no, hold on.
Okay.
That might be the only one.
Okay, I found it.
Hold on.
I'm posting in Pingy in Scandom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says the sand that has protected you. Why is his transformation into Shikaku the sand that protects him?
All right, sure. Yeah, I guess this in particular would just be referring to his sand. But he's saying that Chikaku wasn't the one responsible for his sand, so he's not using Chikaku's power when he's using his sand. He's using his mother's. But I guess like in the state of his like transformation, sure, I guess he is utilizing his chakra to some extent. But even though it's not necessarily confirmed, I think that's probably okay. So, where were you going with that anyway?
Okay, so I'm just like trying to show that like there have been Jinchuriki who've been like sapping Shukaku's chakra over the years, which could like lead to him being weaker while he's in a Jinchuriki or sealed rather than outside of one.
That's not how it works. What Jinchuriki do? So for the chakra that they take from a Biju, they take back from them. So basically the reason like Naruto.
Are you talking about the case of like Naruto's Nine Tails transformation?
Yeah, exactly right. Like when Naruto uses the Nine Tails chakra, he then steals Naruto's chakra. So Naruto has to be very careful when he's using Nine Tails chakra, or he could die.
I think that's in the case of perfect Jinchuriki.
He's not a perfect Jinchuriki at that point. The reason that happens is because he's not a perfect Jinchuriki. Like during the war arc when Casey and Naruto is fighting. Hold on. During the war arc when Casey and Naruto is fighting. I just
want to specify something before you
hold on. Let me finish this point, then you can go ahead. So during the war arc when Casey and Naruto is fighting the Jinchuriki, the Eight Tails specifically says that like Naruto should have been out of chakra long ago, but the Nine Tails stopped taking his chakra, and this is right before he mastered KCM. So this is like during that period. So the reason he's getting his chakra stolen is because he's not a perfect Jinchuriki, and we know Gaara never mastered Chikaku. So basically it's not like he's getting any weaker from Gaara using his chakra in that state. Because he's stealing his chakra back.
There are just two issues with that I'd like to address. For one, are you aware there are like two definitions for what a perfect Jinchuriki is?
No.
A perfect Jinchuriki can just be someone who can control their tailed beast, or someone who works in cooperation with it.
I don't think that's true. Where are you getting that?
Because you know, like how Yagura is supposed to be a perfect Jinchuriki.
Yeah.
And like you know how we have other examples, like I think KCM Naruto, early KCM, is also referred to as a perfect Jinchuriki.
No, he's not.
Hold up, let me go look for something.
Okay,
but I'm just trying to show here there are two definitions for that.
Sure, you're still judging this, right? I'll have the beginning if you want to see that too. But
True isn't even in here, Noodles.
Oh, that bastard.
That motherfucker
I'll send it to him later.
Yeah, he dipped like 15 minutes ago.
F.
I don't even think he was here at the beginning, so like, he couldn't have judged it anyway. I don't think.
Abilities, control. Let's see. Okay, this should be it.
Let's try and speed along this AP point because I didn't mean for this to like get into a super like fucking intense like debate about the BG's power. Unless you want to make this the debate, which in that case that's fine. But I figured we'd actually get back onto.
I mean, if you'd rather just do this, we can.
Sure. So the debate we're currently having, let's clarify then, I guess, is like whether or not the BG scale to the other BG.
Yeah, aside from Kurama, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because I figured if we keep going down the Sasori versus Itachi debate, then we're gonna have to do this with like every single like statistic, right? So, you know, we're gonna have to do this with speed, then we'll have to do this with durability and hacks, and it'll just get really like toxic. So let's just try and quicken it up.
Okay, so you said you're defining perfect Jinchuriki as like in cooperation. Okay, will you give me your definition?
Just when people are stated to be perfect in Cherokee means they're perfect in Cherokee. B is stated to be 1. Yagura is stated to be 1. So.
Okay, yeah. What do you think that entails? Like the cooperation of the Biju?
Yeah, they have to be cooperative, is from what it's shown, because both Yagura and the Eight Tails have cooperation. So. Or Yagura and the Three Tails, and then B and the Eight Tails both have cooperation with each other. So.
Okay. Why do Yager and are you using the statement as the basis for Yager and the Three Tails having cooperation with one
So
another?
we know that the A Tails has cooperation with B, and he stated to be a perfect Jinchuriki. So logically, if Yagra stated to be a perfect Jinchuriki, that would apply.
I don't know
we
if
also
that would be logically. I think that would be a bit of an association
So-
fallacy to say that like
It's not an
Since it-
association fallacy, but we also see that Yagra is able to use version 2 on command. So he does.
in the anime, yeah.
Yeah. But it's also in the manga, so
Yeah, can't that just be from like having control over his tail beast? Like why can't he just like beat the shit out of his tail beast and it listens to him?
because we've never seen that in the series.
Well, you're aware of like how one gains control of their tail beast in the first place, right?
They have to do a chakra tug of war.
And how do they initiate that?
They just mentally tug their chakra. Like it's basically
Yeah, how do they initiate that process is what I'm asking.
I don't know. It's just kind of like a thing that they do. Like
You're aware of how it's initiated in the case of Yugato, B, and Naruto, right?
Yugito and B and Naruto. Oh,
Mhm.
how is that the case?
Oh, they start a fight with their tail beast in that mental scape.
Yeah,
No.
it's like a mental representation of their chakra tug of war, though. It's not like they're actually fighting.
You realize like to get over to them, like to pull the chakra, they have to start fighting them, right?
Hmm.
And
It
it's like I'm pretty sure it's stated that like it's viewed as like a ceremony of the Jinchuriki fighting
Yeah,
the
it's like it's not like they're physically destroying anything outside, though, right? Like it's not. It's literally like a mental battle. It's not actually like a physical
So
battle.
you think this
The
like
battle, the battle we see is just a mental representation of what's happening. Like it's not actually what's happening. Like they're not actually fighting each other. They're tugging for chakra.
I think they so you think the entire time they're doing a chakra tug of war, they're not really fighting?
Probably, yeah. I don't know if there's any like confirmation on either side, but
Because you know, like we have other cases of like people fighting and like these like ethereal realms, right?
are you talking about like Kushina and Naruto,
No, I was gonna talk about the Reaper Belly.
the Reaper Belly?
Yeah, you know how like targets who are sealed fight in the Reaper Belly.
Well, wouldn't you use the association fallacy on me just a moment ago? So wouldn't this apply to that
I'm
as
giving
well?
you not necessarily. You're telling me that like, oh, since this is like an ethereal landscape and like this fight isn't taking place in the real world.
Well,
I'm
why
giving-
did you call my like argument for a perfect Jinchuriki association fallacy then?
Well, you said since like they're both perfect in Cherokee, then they must both also like have cooperation of their tailed beasts.
Well, since you all what you just said
And
was
you
they're
didn't
both
relate the two
what you
concepts
just
to
said
one
was since
another.
they're both ethereal realms and one has battles, that means they both do. So that applies to you as well.
No, I can give you a statement to prove that the Reaper Belly has battles.
I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing whether or not that the Reaper Belly applies to these other mental ethereal realms, right?
I'm just showing you like
So, hold on, right now, what you just said was that I'm using an association fallacy because they're both stated to be perfect in Cherokee, right? And because they're both stated to be perfect in Cherokee, they have like cooperation with their BG, right? And then when you disputed that, you said like you're now making an argument that these two completely unrelated ethereal realms are now connected because they're both ethereal realms.
I never said they're connected. I just simply
They're
said
connected by the fact that since battles happen in one, battles must
I'm
happen
showing
in
you
the
that
other.
battles can take place in ethereal realms. That's
Yeah,
all
but that
I'm
doesn't
trying
mean
to
that they
show you.
are taking place. So why would you even make this
Wait.
statement if it doesn't like support your
All
position?
right, so I can just drop the Reaper Belly thing.
Yeah,
since
that's
it's,
not
like,
that's not the argument there. Like
It's non-essential.
like what I'm arguing is like whether or not these like fights happening in the Reaper Belly apply to these other ethereal realms, because that's the argument you have to make, or else you're not supporting your position.
Yeah, I can support my position with something else, is what I'm telling you.
Okay, so you're gonna drop this point then.
Yes, I already said that.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. I didn't know. I wasn't for sure about that, so I was just like, okay.
Okay, so like you're asking me to like show that a fight is like actually taking place here, and it's not just like a chakra tug of war.
Yeah.
Okay. You're aware that like to initiate the tug of war of chakra, they need to like physically physically make contact with the Biju and start pulling the chakra.
They just, I mean, their chakras are in contact with each other, but they're like mental energies are tugging. They're like tugging at each other's chakra, if that's what you're referring to. But like overall, like we can see Naruto, he's just like in a meditated state when he's just like sitting down doing it. So he's not like physically fighting the Nine Tails, you know, like that's not actually what's happening.
Well, you know how like chakra is like physical and like mental energies.
It is a combination of physical and mental, or is it spiritual or mental? It's one of the two.
I think it's the mental is also called spiritual sometimes, but
Yeah, it's like confusing. But
I
yeah,
think that's it. But yeah, you're like, do you think like this like
I
this
think them
like astral
tugging at each
projection?
other's physical energy doesn't necessitate a fight, if that's what you're asking.
No, I'm saying that I think we're misunderstanding one another. I'm saying like yes, this can also consist of like a tug of war for this energy, but I'm saying that's initiated by the fight they have in this mental
Well,
state.
it's not really a fight. We don't actually like them tugging at each other's chakra doesn't necessitate a fight.
Yeah,
like you
the
said.
tugging at the chakra doesn't have to be, but like
That's what's happening though.
to get a hold of Kurama's chakra. I'll just give you an example in the case of Naruto first. What Naruto had to do in that case to get a hold of Kurama's chakra was initiate a fight with him and then make physical contact with him in this mental scape.
Is that like stated, or are you just saying that?
It's shown. It's shown. I can get just
yeah.
I can
Okay.
get,
So what's shown is a fight. We agree that what's shown is a fight, but is that fight real? Is the question. Because by this argument, right, like the 8 tails then like scales to the 9 tails because he like tanks a BG bomb from him. So
I
it's
think
like
the 8 tails tanked a BG bomb from the 10 tails.
technically it wasn't from the 10 tails. It was his own BG bomb, but it never exploded.
Okay. That's not really relevant, but
Yeah, we don't have. Let's not go down that wormhole. But that is an argument. But yeah. So it's just like weird to try and say that this is like a legitimate fight. But like hypothetically, if I grant you this, where would you go with it?
okay, that like so like what I'm saying here, in order to like gain their Biju's cooperation, or like in order to get this status of perfect Jinchuriki, I don't believe you need necessarily the cooperation of your Biju. My argument here was like Yagura can just have like beat the shit out of Isobu and is like maintains control over him, like other examples of people who have control over Biju, like Hashirama or Madara.
Yeah, I understand that, but where are you going with that? Like, what point does that support?
Okay, I think
What's
this went
in
back.
reference to? Is what I'm asking.
Oh yeah, this went back to like if this went back to the whole if like since Gaara is not a perfect Jinchuriki, is chakra being sapped out of him. Okay. I think like my so you're
Are
arguing
you arguing that Gaara is a perfect Jinchuriki? Because that's just not true. It's just
yeah, I wasn't arguing that. I'm just saying I think like
there's only like stated to be like 3 perfect Jinchuriki, right? It's like Yugito, B, and Yagura, and then Danzo states there's no more than that. So
yeah, I'm fine with Gaara not being a perfect Jinchuriki. I just I don't believe this like the Biju draining his chakra. I don't think it like would. I don't think. Well, I could just like.
the argument you were making is that he was a perfect Jinchuriki, right? Therefore, like Kurama or like Shikaku's unable to take his chakra.
No,
but
I said.
But now that you've agreed that he's not a perfect, that was what you were trying to argue, though.
No, my argument was that my original argument was that he doesn't. This process of like the chakra being stolen, I don't know that happens in like the case of every non-perfect Jinchuriki, and like I think
that's not the argument you're making. You never claimed that until now.
I think where we were was like you were on
a separate point.
You had brought up the chakra sucking point. And then we got into Yagura and the perfect Jinchuriki.
You claimed that he was weakened because he's getting his chakra sapped by Gaara, and I told you that like Biju, like the 9 tails, for instance, is able to sap the Jinchuriki of Naruto back, and that's why he would have died. And that does apply to other.
In the case of a perfect Jinchuriki.
No, he's not a perfect Jinchuriki at that point. That's prior to him becoming a perfect Jinchuriki.
Isn't a perfect Jinchuriki just defined as someone who can control a tailed beast?
He's not even able to control the chakra at all at that point. This is prior to the KCM training.
I don't think like being able to.
This is part 1.
I don't think like being able to effectively like control the chakra, it would be like I think like Naruto can like still beat up the 9 tails and still have like bad chakra control to the point where he's not able to effectively use his chakra. That's fine.
Saying, wait, hold on. You're saying what?
Naruto can just be like stronger than the 9 tails to the point where he can like beat him up, but his chakra control can just be bad to the point where he's not able to control his chakra.
Well, we know that he's not stronger than the 9 tails at that point, though.
Okay.
And we also don't know if this Jinchuriki is stronger than Shikaku. Like, where he even getting that? That seems like also a baseless assumption. Like, the arguments you're gonna have to rep are just like massive stretches in order to reach this like weird ass conclusion to say that Shikaku was like weaker, right? When which we don't even know if there is a Jinchuriki.
I think I can
as well.
accept like
So-
Shukaku, because this was in the case of Gaara. I think I can accept Shukaku like sapping his chakra. But I think like in the case for it to like make up for this loss he would receive from Gaara using his, it would have to be like of similar potency and quantity.
It would have to be of similar quantity for sure.
I think potency as well, because like potency between chakra can differ, right?
The only reason, that's weird. Chakra doesn't have a potency. Chakra has the reason, like certain attacks are more potent, is because people are more efficiently able to manipulate chakra into them, so they're able to manipulate a quantity of chakra more effectively than other people into a jutsu, which then thereby makes it more powerful. But chakra itself isn't like an attack. It's not something that's like.
I disagree. I think
potent.
we have a consistency within Naruto for like certain types of chakra being like more potent or having like this greater aura to it. Like for example,
the Nine Tails, I think, has like chakra that's
that's
so
one.
overwhelming. But
Sasuke,
I guess if you want to argue more potent, but I don't know why like Shikaku would have to like grab potent an equal amount of potent chakra. Like why
I'll
not
just give you a hypothetical. In like the case that like it isn't as potent, and like he's just sapping like let's say this chakra from Gaara that's like not as potent as his own, he would need then to take like a greater quantity of the chakra since it's less potent than like what he would need.
So sure, he's draining Gaara more than Gaara is draining him. I think that's also confirmed at some point with Naruto. So yeah, I mean that works.
I don't think that necessarily has to be what's happening here. I think like it can just.
Why'd you bring it up then?
No, I said like in this case, like how do we know that he's like sapped enough chakra from Gaara to like go back to his normal level?
How do we know if he sapped enough chakra from Gaara to go back to his normal level?
Yeah, or to go back to his normal strength.
Well, that's kind of like the thing, right? Like the Biju are just don't want to like Gaara and like in most of the Biju like hate their Jinchuriki, so they have no reason to like make themselves weaker, and they take the amount of chakra that leaves their body is what's stated. So if that's true, right, and he's just taking the chakra from Gaara,
I think
right,
in the case of case of like Kurama and the Eight Tails, that can be what happens. I don't see why that has to be the case for all Biju.
I mean, if it's happening in Kurama and the Eight Tails, that would suggest it happens with the other Biju as well. Those are like situations.
Why?
Because they're all Biju. Like obviously, if we see a car right driving down the road, and we see another car driving down the road, and then we see a third car driving around the road, right? Let's say the first two cars have engines, right? And let's say the third car has mice like in the wheels, and it's like running the wheels, okay? Like if you don't see the mice or the engines, or let's say you don't see the mice, right, but you see the first two cars and they have engines inside of them, right? You would assume the third car has engine because that's the most probable scenario.
Wait,
right?
so you're saying since we don't see the mice, we cannot assume they're there?
I'm not saying you can't assume they're there, but if you assume they're there without evidence, then yes, you shouldn't assume that. Like when you say that, like when you look at a car, right, that's driving down the road, we assume.
Wait,
engine,
what if I like?
right?
What if
we
I
don't
like
assume
see
there's
the?
like random mice running inside the tires? That just wouldn't
What
make
if I
sense.
hear the mouse?
Well, yeah, right now you don't hear a mouse though. You're
But I
basically
do.
claiming that. You're acting as if you have evidence for this claim, which you don't. You just have no idea.
I'm just like I think we're on a tangent right now, but
Can we
This entire
try and
thing
get
is
back
a
to the
tangent.
yeah? I'm getting really irritated with this debate at this point, so I want to try and get our last point out, and then probably go to conclusions. Is that okay with you?
yeah, this really went downhill.
Okay, so do you want to just go to conclusions now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So this was like we switched this to like, okay, do all the Biju aside from Kurama relative?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the debate is besides Kurama or the Biju relative to each other.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I can conclude first. I think earlier in the debate, my opponent like agreed in the case of like the Seven Tails, where we have like a Biju that's for like this balance effect to like hold that like when we have one village that has one and another that has two, in the case where that one Biju can hold off the two Biju, that then the Seven Tails or that singular Biju would be stronger. So I think under the basis of that, my opponent already agreed that there are certain Biju in this group who are stronger than others.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we went over a few arguments. The first argument being that these Biju are not relative to each other. So the argument I use to justify the Biju being relative to each other are that Hashirama split up the 9 Biju into these other 3 countries to specifically balance out power. In order for there to be a balance of power, then the Biju must have some relativity to each other. So whether or not the argument that I agreed that the Seven Tails would be stronger than the other Biju does not mean they're not relative. In fact, that the fact that 2 Biju can still fight with the Shikaku would suggest that they're relative. So there is still a balance of power either way.
You didn't say that, I don't think, but I'll let you finish.
Well, you never made that argument either in your conclusion. So
I did make the Seven Tails argument clear.
But yeah, like what you're claiming that your conclusion necessitates non-relativity, but you never claimed that Chrome was not relative to the other Biju. You just said
I
stronger.
said Chome would. I asked you.
You just said stronger.
I
You just said stronger. You never mentioned anything about relativity. So if you're gonna
recording this, so
I have been. So I'm gonna. It's gonna show in the recording as well.
Yeah, that's
but you
fine.
never claimed relativity.
I'm pretty sure.
And also that was prior to us switching the debate as well to this. So
nothing from before the switch. Are you saying should be?
Well, that changed
the
debate, right? Because had I known you were had I known that this was going to be the debate in the first place, I would have been more prudent with that conversation. So I don't think it's necessarily genuine to do that. But either way, you did not mention.
I think it's pertinent to this point.
Draco, let him finish his conclusion, please.
Yeah, you should stop. Okay. You should stop arguing mid conclusion. But yeah. So another argument I made was that the Biju are able to fight with each other during the war arc, which would include Kome, right? So that would also establish relativity. So he never refuted that argument either. The only argument I agreed to was that Kome was stronger, and I also agreed that Nine Tails was stronger. But I also said the Nine Tails was like relative to the Biju. Now this debate doesn't include the Nine Tails, but that's further support that the Biju in general are relative to each other. And I also made the argument that Hagurama split them up into 9 equal pieces, so that would also establish them as relative. And that argument was never refuted either.
You refuted it yourself with the notion that some can get stronger, like Kurama.
Draco, we're in conclusions right now. So what that means is we're like going over our arguments during the debate. Now whether or not someone wants to make that judgment is up to them, like the point you just made.
Okay, I'll let you finish.
But yeah, you shouldn't. I didn't interrupt you during your conclusion because I'm cordial, right? Like that's how it works. So yeah, I made 3 arguments.
I apologize. I just didn't want to let anything slip. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, but I didn't do that to you on purpose. So obviously I could have like sat there and argued with you during your conclusion.
Let's move on to the conclusion.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I made 3 arguments that would establish relativity among the Biju, including Kurama and Kome, and Shikaku, who are the only ones that I admitted to be stronger. And being stronger doesn't necessitate relativity. So yeah, based on those arguments, I think I won the debate. All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.
All right, I can stop the recording as well then. That's fine.
Wait, the VC judging, or there's one judge?
I think it's true.
It was supposed to be true, but he left, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's true still, and just sending the recording.